Hey guys, thanks for watching. I just wanted to do a quick run through, recap, whatever, of Downfall 10. 10 years doing that. I had no idea that they were doing it, but it's awesome that they're long running. I wish I would have known about it before this year. Crazy. But I'm a big fan of Otherworld Productions events. I was at Apocalypse 8. I did the Jingle Brawl at Ambush in 2019. It was a charity event. But those are the only events I've done with Otherworld Milsim up until Otherworld Productions, or I guess it's interchangeable, up until this past weekend. So I just wanted to run through a couple of things that, I saw, a couple of things that I learned. If it helps you, great. If not, then this is just going to be a journal for me to go back and look at whenever I'm, old and decrepit and can't do this anymore. So, but I wanted to get through it. Let's start out with what's in front of me. I mean, I ran the Kelly 2. I ran the 1919, the second half of the first day. I used a new battery in it. I used to use a 9.6 volt Butterfly NIMH. That thing does great. It does a fantastic job. I have no complaints with it, but I wanted to try lithium ion. And mostly because I don't want to have to buy new batteries all the time, over and over and over again. I have yet to find a 9.6 volt lithium ion. I think that 11.1 is a little bit too much for the stock SEMA AK. I could probably put a MOSFET in there, but it's still probably, it's an old gearbox. It's at least 10 plus years old. I don't want to ruin it. So I'm not going to put 11.1 in this guy, although that would be awesome, until at least I get a better gun or a better set of gears, whatever I choose to do. Now, so that being said, the reason I said that is because I ran a 7.4 volt lithium ion. The great thing about lithium ion batteries is they're not as sensitive to damage or being overcharged, undercharged as LiPos. I have a lot of anxiety and I own my house, so I didn't want to, I've seen videos of them catching on fire. I did not want that. I don't want, some neglectfulness on my part to lead to us being homeless. So I'd rather not do the more dangerous LiPos, even though they have such a high output. The lithium ion worked okay. I mean, it gave this thing a lower fire rate, which it would at a lower voltage of 7.4. But I watched a video on YouTube that went through all the different batteries, and it looked like the 7.4 lithium ion would be a little bit quicker or just as snappy as the 9.6, which was a lie. It's the same voltage. You think they do the same thing, but I guess there's more push with lithium ion versus anything else, or the NIMH. So that being said, the fire rate was kind of lower. It was lower than usual with the 9.6. It did like a slower, I mean, probably realistic, let's be honest, for the 1919 of like 600 or less rounds per minute. I know that on the 1917s, they used to be able to dial them back all the way to 250 rounds per minute, which is super low. And that's for like firing from defilade, like indirect fire. They used to work that out. And if you don't believe me, there's videos out there explaining that kind of stuff. So I've looked that all up. And I would, just not to go too far off the beaten path here, but I would like to eventually make a 1917, like a water jacket on this. It doesn't do anything for me. Obviously it's going to be heavier, but if I can set it up on a proper tripod and get the proper crew together, maybe eventually it would work out, but I don't know. Anyway, the 1919 did well. It didn't do fantastically. It doesn't do as good as it does when the fire rate's high, but I don't have any complaints really with the operableness of it. It being a lower fire rate means less ammunition expenditure, but it also means that people aren't quite as scared to get their heads down as usual. So I remember one instance. It was late in the day on the first day when I was using this bad boy. It was just me and another guy. We were pushing down the very back of the field, trying to get there's a couple buildings back there. I don't know what the landmarks are, all of them, but there's a couple buildings back in the back there. I was on the green team. I'm pushing down the hill, and I lay down and I see this guy just walking up casually through the woods. I'm like, okay, here's my chance. I can get a guy, and maybe somebody else is with him. So me being the eager beaver I am, and us losing like pretty much all day, and just me wanting to try to see how this thing works out, I laid into him, but that low rate of fire meant that I could only get so much volume on target so quickly. And unfortunately gave him enough time to get behind a tree. And I kept his head down. I could tell he was on the radio telling his buddies where I was at, but I kept his head down. He got behind a tree, probably had like maybe an inch or two on either side showing, but he hid pretty well. At the very last minute, I stopped firing. I gave him some time, see if he wanted to pop his head out. And we both got each other at the same time. I was like, good shot. And he kind of chuckled at me because I wasted so much ammo. So, yeah, I mean, that's about all I want to really discuss about this gun. Worked pretty well. But I do want to tell a couple of stories. I think I've started most games recently by just using whatever rifle, like a small light rifle I have, to kind of get a feel for what's going on in the field. And then once I get tired around like lunchtime, I'll bring out the big boy. And then I can better utilize it instead of getting wrecked right away. So that's why I have the AK here. I forget there's so many variants of the AK. I don't know what type this is, but it's a short boy. I have a little modification here, field expedient modification, Walmart bag, electrical taped around the receiver because the second day it was raining. I'll be taking that off obviously at some point, but I wanted to keep that on there just to show. There's a couple of pictures of me there with that on it. There's also a couple pictures of me, I think, at least taken with me on the first day without it, but I couldn't find them. I guess they just didn't put them up. So I already got what I wanted. Appreciate the photography. Shout out to Alicia Rivera. I think Rivera. She does a great job. Her crew, whoever else was out there, because it wasn't just her. All of them do a fantastic job. She does a great job at editing, and she deserves every dollar she gets. So that being said, though, I did want to go, like I said, through a couple of stories. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. Just while we're on the 1919 kind of, you know what? No, let's go in chronological order. The AK, there's the first push at the castle, first couple hours. I think that I'll just start off by saying I think that the Tan have a little bit easier of a go, maybe, just because they have an open field they can rush right through to get to the castle. Although they did, I appreciated Otherworld organizing these white-shirted team members to be in the castle ahead of time with MGs so that one team doesn't just hop in there and get it right away. That being said, and that also being said, that we were outnumbered by 50 players because multicam is just so dang popular, which I would have ran up until like this year, but we got in a stalemate. We got trapped in the town outside of Castle, and Tan just held the castle pretty much the entire day. I don't think we did get close at one point. There was an organized charge, an organized attack, and I don't know why we stopped doing that, but I think the only thing that would get us anywhere at any point, at any time of that day, was going to be like organization, like getting a big group together, basically. Like not even like, hey, you go here, just, hey, you group of 5, meet up with my group of 10, and we're going to go assault this, and here's the plan. And just, we needed somebody who had a plan, and I didn't see that happening until the second day. Albeit I was part of a smaller group. I went with a small group of friends, which I love these guys. They're great. A lot of times we do secret squirrel stuff. Like we go around the flanks of the field. So my buddy Nate can get, he can utilize his ghillie suit to the best of his ability. We can just kind of flank people, and it's a lot of fun just being as quiet as you can until the last minute. So the flip side of that is when you creep around the whole field and then you get shot right away. Not the best feeling. So, but hey, it happens. It's part of this. It's part of the game. So, yeah, that was. I mean, we did get a decent push into castle. I did get inside of the castle in like the first 2 hours of the day, but I got shot from the upper walls. They kept. I mean, once you get in there and you get medics in the towers, man, it's you can't really displace anybody. Maybe in the future. I mean, and this is kind of a cheap shot, but in my opinion, if you're going to be sportsmanlike, you need to let people like have fun. And, if somebody's obviously getting steamrolled, that's not really fun for anybody. I know it's not fun for me if I'm steamrolling somebody else. I'm like, this isn't a challenge. This isn't fun. We're just shooting them when we see them. That's not cool. Like, I don't like that. I'm not saying that was what's happening, because we did put up a decent fight. We were outnumbered, just like last time at Final Order. But I think we did okay. So yeah, I did get in the castle, like I said. I can't think of anything else going on really with the AK. I did notice that I had to push up on the magazine to get it to feed. So in a lot of pictures of me with the AK, I'm holding the magazine up with my thumb on the top cover of the receiver to try to clamp it down so that the stuff would feed. And I was able to use a high cap with this. I bought a mid cap because I thought we could only use mid caps, but that's only for like the higher level, slightly higher level mil-sim events. So, but yeah, I'm trying to think about when I started playing with this. I know that we got all the way around to the helicopter from our spawn at one point, and I think the trenches are really cool there. I obviously, with the machine gun being from the era that it is, I set it up. I was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. I'm going to get so many people. Well, we were watching helicopter, and I had a bunch of guys going into the pines to my right who were just trying to hunt the guys, like hunt the tan team. We were kind of like right up on their spawn. We didn't want to go too far, and there's basically nothing to gain by being in the pines anyway. So unfortunately, I sat back. I forget why. I guess I was just the short straw. And I remember being in the trenches, and I see like a flash of tan going by the building next to me. So I'm like, okay, it's go time. So I pick this thing up, by the carry handle, and I go over. Around the corner, I see a green guy facing me behind a piece of cover with his hands up like he just got hit. So he obviously just got hit. There's a guy with a tan and a guy with a Hawaiian shirt, and they're behind the cover opposite me, but they don't notice me yet. So anyway, I started blasting, and I start shooting. I get their heads down, and I'm trying to use that psychological warfare that this thing is like great at. Unfortunately, with the low rate of fire, it didn't do as well as I wanted it to do. It's not as intimidating with that. It's more like it's got to be scary. You got to hear them, the BBs hit the wood, the cover, whatever around you, and you're gonna be like psychologically like, I gotta get my head down. Like, I know there's like a lower chance of me getting hit, but there's not no chance, and you don't want to risk it, obviously. So these guys had their heads down. I got their heads down. And I'm tired. I'm hyped up. I'm pumped up. I'm like, all right, this is cool. So I yell out, I'm like, I can go all day. And a second later, I get hit from like this group of 12 that's up to my left flank up on the hill. And I didn't even notice them. They're just walking up. But somebody just pops me. I'm like, hit, like right away. And everybody's laughing, at me, obviously. So, but I thought that was funny. I probably didn't, it's not as funny when I retell it, but you just had to be there, I guess. So anyway, I'm sure there's other things I'm going to forget, but I really think that's it for the first day. I mean, we got our butts kicked. We lost big time. Green team, I don't know. I think we just needed more organization. I don't even think we needed more people, because that's not always the best, Although if we're outnumbered by 50, I could kind of see that being, it's hard to deny that, but I don't want to keep pining on that. But anyway, after the first day, obviously Tan was winning. They did a nice little concert, like live music from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. The guys that played in the band were actually playing the game like during the day, which is crazy. Like, I felt like I was gonna just fall asleep like after like 7 p.m. But they played a whole bunch of, they were like a 90s cover band. I forget their names. If anybody knows their name, let me know, because they were awesome. Like, they were great. It was like 5 of them. But yeah, that was awesome. I love live. You normally love live music, because I always feel like it's too loud for the setting. Like, if I'm trying to eat, but I'm hearing bass in my ear. But yeah, no, they were awesome. They were great. And the food truck was great. It's like something concessions. They were awesome. We got pizza afterwards, and we shared some with them. They had I had a gyro from them, and it was spectacular. But anyway, I know I'm getting off track. So most of the guys, or half the guys, there was only 4 of us. So one other guy was with me. We stayed in our cars overnight in the parking lot. Wasn't that bad. It was kind of cold, but he let me borrow a sleeping bag, and I was appreciative of that. And it was okay. But got up, and it's like raining. And like 6 a.m., as soon as I open my eyes and the sun's starting to come out, it's like I hear patter on my windshield. I'm like, crap. So I can't run. I'm not running this. There's too many open holes on this thing to trust. So what I did was, originally I was going to run a 1911, like a sidearm that I have, that at home it worked fine. And I shot like a mag through it, and it was great. Excuse me. And I reloaded that mag, took it with me. I thought that it was going to work. Well, guess what? I walk out on the field thinking that I'm just going to be a medic today, no rifle. I'm just going to prioritize getting people up and run a pistol. And sometimes that's really fun. Like that, honestly, that challenge, like of knowing like, okay, I'm outranged, I have to think now. I can't just sit here in one spot and plink at them. And like nobody's going anywhere and you're just wasting time and wasting ammo. Instead of that, I got a pistol, I gotta get in range. I gotta get up there. So it forces you to think tactically. I'm not like a Jocko Willing type, but I love the challenge that it brings. And plus, it's just so handy. Like, it's a handgun. If I can see somebody and pop them, it's going to be way easier and way faster than lifting a rifle up or, God forbid, this guy. So, but unfortunately, the pistol wasn't working. So I spent the first, I think, 30 minutes going and making this guy water resistant. Worked all right. I didn't really have to do anything much to it, but it worked fine. The second day, I was fortunate enough to, well, we took the castle at that point, but I was also fortunate enough to meet this guy named Rob. I think he's from NEPA Airsofters. I just saw a patch, and I know that group exists, so I wanted to maybe give them a shout out, because Rob had radio. I didn't run a radio that day because it was just me and the other guy, and we figured we could just stay together and kind of get things done that way, and we did. Rob was a fantastic leader. I think we needed somebody with a plan, and Rob always had a plan, and we would just feed him information. He would make decisions, and I like to be that guy sometimes, but not all the time, man. Like and especially because I was medic. I wasn't going to put myself out there. At one point, we got the castle, and I just sat up in the tower watching the stairs, and I medicked a couple of guys a couple of times. They got hit. Obviously, the second day, I think most of the TAM players knew they were going to win or probably just couldn't stay. So we were more evenly matched on the second day, which allowed us to take pretty much the entire field, but we still lost by like almost half. Like I think the TAN team had 41,000 something points, and the green team had like 22,000. Which I'm sure most of that 22,000 was from the second day, because we were holding down like the whole field at one point, pretty late in the game. But at that point, and I had this thought, I'm like, who really cares? They already won. So, and maybe we should do a sudden death at some point where, like, if y'all are gonna stay and put the work in, maybe your points mean more, or double points the last hour or something like that, just so there can be some actual fighting at the very end. Because at the very end, like the last whole hour, it was like nothing. Like nobody cared. Everybody was just standing around, which is whatever. It's fine. But if you want to get the most out of it, maybe I would suggest doing that and just see how it goes. It doesn't have to be loved by everyone or agreed upon by every last person. Because I used to organize stuff and run stuff. I understand how difficult it is, when like you got 100 people that say, "Oh, you did great. I love the game," and then you got one person over here bickering about some dumb crap. And I hate complainers and I hate complaining, but it does bother you. I get that. So if you're an organizer and you see this, just know you just got to do what you can do. Like take the feedback and try to improve. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's your decision, man. It's and sink or swim. It's on you. So. If one guy says he doesn't like it, but 100 guys say they do, go with the 100. Like, obviously. Like, you can improve things, obviously, but, like, you're doing good. So, anyway, kind of a weird tangent there. I did run into one issue late in the day on the second day. Late-ish. It's like late morning. Me and my buddy that were still there, we were running around. I came up to him. I found him just by chance because we got separated. Found him by chance. I medicked him up. We were both medics. Medics can revive other medics. So got him up. And we're behind this stone wall, and we're looking the opposite direction from the place that I described before in the back of back of the field where the buildings are. And there's this dude over there who's got, I haven't really, this isn't really living rent free in my head or anything, but it does bother me that he thought he was right. There's a dude like 100 feet away from us who's got some type of camo on. I can't tell what his camo is. It looks like it might be like Pencock Green Zone or something like that, which I heard, and it does look like a great camo. But through rain on my goggles, a little bit of fog, and being 100 feet away, they got their, he and another guy have their hands up. They're standing by a building, and we see that they're out. But I start approaching them. I'm like, "Are you dead? Like, do you need to go up, or do you need to get medics? Because we're medics." He was like, "No." I asked if he was on TAN team, and he was like, "No." And he said something to me that I can't really repeat, but it was pretty insulting. And he was like, "You would think that." And I'm like, and he's like, it's on the approved camo list for green. I'm like, "Well, I'm just asking you a question." I was like, "Excuse me? Like, don't call me a, But anyway, it was like the nerve. And if you're out there, we parked in the same parking lot. Fight me. No, I'm just kidding. I'd probably get kicked out. But that was some BS. That was some, yeah, don't want to cuss too much in this. So, I don't really like the negative crap. If you're going to act like that, don't come out. This isn't for you. Go somewhere else, do something else, go play video games and be alone. Cause, I was trying to help. I was asking if, if you wanted to be medicked and you want to insult me because I didn't know what your camo was. Your niche camo. So, but hey, it's all good. We're all human. But yeah, I don't want to end on a bad note. So I will say, I think there was another time, like just another quick story on the first day, me and my buddy that I went with, we were up by our spawn, like on the top of the hill on the ridge. And the TAN team pushed us back so far, like to where we were at our reflectors. And in case you don't know, there's a dead zone, and I love that Otherworld does this so that you're not getting spawn camped. But when you're inside of your reflectors on the spawn side, you're basically immortal. You can shoot out, but nobody can, you can get hit too, obviously, but you're not out if you're inside of those reflectors. So we were standing there, like on the edge of the road, a foot inside the reflector. And they got so close. Props to them. They did a great job. But at one point, they got so close, like probably within 50 feet of us. Not 50, like probably 100 feet, but they were lobbing shots our way, and we were getting like hits, but we were behind the reflectors, and we were just standing side by side, just out in the open, standing up, shooting at him, like, "Hey, reflector!" Like, he's like, "What?" And so we shouted back, like, "This is our spawn." He's like, "Oh, okay, we'll go away." So he left, and props to him, for not spawn camping. So that was good sportsmanship. I just wanted to call that a positive thing that I saw out. Thank you. For doing that. And I don't really have anything else to say. I don't want to make this too long. My next game that I'm attending is going to be a little private shindig. It's if you want to know more, it's in the like South Central PA region. Just hit me up, send me a message on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on a lot of stuff. So, but if you're interested, the next thing is May 25th. I can't tell you where it's at or what it's called because these guys, it's a private thing. So, but if you want to message me, I can try to run it by them. The next thing after that, Final Order 2, July 27th. I also have, I think, another thing in August 2nd through the 4th, I think. It's at EMR as well. So, yeah. And there might be another thing in September that I'm going to in South Carolina, but that's a lot of money. We'll see. I'm getting a raise soon, so hopefully a nice chunk of change, and hopefully I can actually enjoy life. That'd be nice, because the last 2 years have been not great. So I'm finally getting back into my groove. I'm feeling it, hoping that it stays that way. So yeah, I loved how the game was set up overall. I would like to thank Otherworld Productions. I'd like to thank EMR for being such a great host. They're all down-to-earth guys. Nobody's pretentious or a jerk. They let me run these shenanigans right here. So I'm appreciative of that, because I did put a lot of work into this, and I had people asking me how much time I spent. Probably about 40 hours maybe total. Drilling out the barrel was probably, that was a whole evening right there. That was it. That was all I did that day, that evening after work. Just drilling out these holes, making them line up. So, but yeah, if you guys are interested in joining me, I mean, our group is small, and I can't say that, you know, you'll be invited directly into the fold, but if, you know, you want to hang out, you want to have a good time, and like, hey, I recognize you. Like, I recognize people that came from elsewhere at that game, and I thought that was awesome. I recognized Josiah. I forget what his screen name is, or I would give him a shout out. But Josiah, Nate, Blind Sniper, he's cool. He's awesome. Recognize Frank Dad. He's on Bad Influence. They help out Otherworld, and I think they're a pretty good organization. So, but yeah, I think that was all the people I knew. So, but yeah, pretty neat. As always, shout out to everybody. I think if I didn't reach you and I saw you and you provided me a service or a good, oh, and the Hot Pies Pizza Place. It's like 8 minutes away from EMR. Go there. They have some awesome pizza. So, but yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I appreciate the subscriptions. I appreciate the views. I don't think this is going to get big. I don't want to put a lot of production value into this. I'd rather put the production value into this. So until I get really good with software, which is probably going to be never, or I find somebody who is, the video is going to be like this. So maybe I'll get some GoPros and maybe I'll run this. I've had a couple ideas about how I would do it with the MG and whatnot. And yeah, we'll go from there. So thanks, guys. Have a good one.